Yeah,
Heath,
sure.
brother, let's talk about that crazy robo video you did. So we first reported on it, I want to say like a year or two ago, and now I see my friend Heath Hicks is doing actually.
Yeah.
Tell me the story. How in the world did you get behind it?
So I met the guys that were building it, I think at IRE maybe 3 years ago. And I was super interested. I'm always interested in the new and upcoming stuff. I'm a pretty early adopter, always trying to get involved in whatever technology or platform or whatever's out there just to see if there's any value to it. So, even with all the products we use in the roof industry, like Job Nimbus and Company Cam and Sales Rabbit, I was always like one of their first customers because I want to see. And there's plenty of those things I tried that I don't use anymore, but a lot of them I still use. And got in early. So when they said they were building a roofing robot, I immediately said, "Well, I want to be the first person to put one on. How do I do that?" And they said, "Well, we don't know yet. We haven't even made it work yet. We're just trying to figure out if there's a use case where it makes sense and if it can make financial sense and if it's even possible." And so, I was kind of around them for a couple of years giving advice. I went up there a couple times to New York where they're building the robot at the Navy Yard there and just, kind of saw what they were doing, was involved. And then at one point they asked me to come in and, kind of be like an advisor and just really help figure out how to make the robot work in the real world. And, so here we are. I got to be the first one.
Love it. So how complicated was it, like to use it? Is it time intensive to learn, and like what's the process?
No, no, it to get it on location and get it working it's about the same time as setting up, a boom lift or a scissor lift or something like that. It's not very time intensive. All the work that's so laborious has really already gone into the development. It runs on a camera system to kind of know where it's at on the roof and navigate itself around. And so it really doesn't take very long to get it up and running.
How many people does it require to set up?
Just one.
Just one person.
Hmm.
Why do you think roofers are so skeptical? I watch a lot of videos from China and overseas. Like I see robots now doing drywall sanding. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
like floor tile and stuff. Like I used to do tile, and I see now
Right.
like robots. And we used to do like demos and stuff. People definitely can do with robots or machines, but installation, people like questioning it, which I guess
Yeah.
is trades like shower remodeling, probably not a robot job, but like if you
Right.
have
Right.
mall of tile for the floors, why not?
Right. Yeah.
Like, why do you think roofers are? Is it ego or is it?
I think in general, roofers as a group, generally speaking, um, are just traditional old school guys. They don't want the newest, nicest thing. They want to know they can do it with the old school thing like they've always done it, and they want to keep doing it that way. And I get that. And I'm not, by being a part of this, I'm not trying to destroy that by any means. I'm just also trying to be a part of wherever the industry may go in the future to be, ahead of those changes. Um, yeah, it's funny how much hate there is. Like, it's so much hate on it, and it's like when I put out the first video about catch all, it was the same stuff, man. We just got hammered for months. It was like 3 months before anybody was like, "Oh, this. I actually like this product." People just hated on it so much, and so really now that I'm seeing all this hate on that, it kind of excites me because I kind of like know that I'm going in the right direction.
Uh, do you see in your market roofers still installing three tap shingles and 15-pound felt paper?
Not really. Not unless it's new construction.
But
Um,
Home Depot still sells it. And my question to you is this: why? Like, I feel like the saying that it's easier to teach new than old dog new tricks, right? Like, I feel like a lot of roofers, if they learned something 20 years ago, and felt paper would be one of those things. That's it.
yeah.
Like for the rest of their life, that's what they're gonna do. And you're like,
Mhm.
hey, synthetic is superior to felt.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
better. It's cheaper.
It's better in every way. You're right. Right.
Why are roofers are so stubborn in their old ways?
I just think it's a personality type. I know all across California they still use felt, and I'm like, what? It just doesn't make any sense because the felt degrades faster than synthetic, and in California, if they do everything right, the roof should be on there for 30, 40, 50 years. And so I'm like, I just don't understand why they don't change. But I'll see them there and they'll put on double layer 15-pound felt or double layer 30-pound felt. And I'm like, why don't you just use synthetic? I think it's just because as a group, they're generally old school people. You've got what you call like door knockers and paper pushers. Those groups of roofers might be like newer guys that are really in it for the business and not because they're a roofer. They wanted to be in business and know how to make money. Those guys probably adapt a little faster. But the guys that actually came up roofing where their dad was a roofer or their grandpa was a roofer or whatever, they're just kind of stuck in their old ways. And I'm not even here to criticize that. They're doing what they like. They're making good money. They're putting on good roofs. So, yay for them. I'm happy they're happy with what they're doing, but it is really funny how critical they are and how quickly they would tear down what somebody else is trying to do. And the funny thing is, we're not trying to replace people. We're not trying to get people off of the roof. We're trying to get higher quality, better accuracy, safer working conditions. Because the person who's going to run the robot is going to be like the same person who would be a nailer on the job site. So we're not trying to get rid of people. We're just trying to make better roofs.
What surprised you the most on the field when you've seen that robot actually doing it?
Honestly, when I ran the math about how fast the robot was, because it moves pretty slow, but over the course of a whole day, it's doing a shingle in less than 60 seconds. And when you see a guy up there nailing, it looks like he's going so fast. But when you count all his moving time and getting his shingles and getting down on the ground and all that, it actually wasn't a whole lot slower than a human. For when you worked out a whole like 10-hour day, it really wasn't that much slower. And we haven't even tried to optimize it for speed yet. We're just trying to optimize it for accuracy. If we can get it down under 30 seconds a shingle, it'll be faster than most humans. Now, could they run for 20 minutes and run faster than a robot? Yeah, totally. But are they going to run all day, every day faster than a robot? I don't know. I don't think so. Especially when you get on really hot days and really steep pitches, then the robot's going to really start beating them. But it's not super fast. That's really not the point. Ultimately, if it could get faster, that'd be great. But right now, it's trying to increase accuracy and ultimately the performance and durability of the roof itself.
Do you feel like homeowners' demand is gonna go towards robot? How many, like, in your best guesstimate, how many people
Yeah.
are old school versus new school? How many people because like my wife hates technology apps.
Right, right, right,
A lot
right.
of people are like, what
Yeah.
do you think?
You mean as far as roofers? What percentage of roofers are new school versus old school?
How many homeowners will be sold on something like that? Where, okay, you use new technology, I'm gonna use you versus
Yeah.
someone who using hammer.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to compare and say the product is the same, if the robot does it or a human does it, I think people are probably going to lead towards humans. But as it gets better, we'll be able to tell people more specifically and accurately the quality of the roof they got because we track every single nail that we nail down, and the robot uses lidar and a camera system that looks at each and every nail after it gets nailed in and knows whether it's in the right place or not, whether it's too deep or too shallow, and can alert us immediately to something that's misnailed. And it's going to record all of that. So at the end of it, as this product develops, you'll have a 3D image of your whole roof as it was built that you could go back and look at every single nail and know where everything was done. I think that kind of quality in the long term, people are definitely going to lean towards. I think it's going to swim up the stream of specialty roofing more than asphalt shingles because there's more money to play with when you get into specialty stuff. So if you're looking at like composite materials, tiles and slates and things like that, if those can be applied by a robot, those are expensive enough roofs that you really want to know that they're done perfectly and accurately. And so people will pay more. And even if it takes a little longer, they'll be happy to do that because they know they're going to be getting the best quality roof. And I think ultimately that's where it'll probably head.
What kind of investment are we talking about these days? Because usually early adapters pay premium price. That's
Yeah, yeah.
probably not even worth it, right? But
Right.
I remember when 3D and like computer games were coming around, like they were so expensive, and now it's like anybody with the app can create a freaking phenomenal movie on their iPhone.
Right. Yeah, as far as cost of the unit, I'm not sure yet. It really has to do with we're still playing around with the best machine to use to support the robot to access the roof. Originally, it was on the roof itself and moved around on the roof with a system of ropes and pulleys and cables and stuff. Now it's attached to what you'd see like on a genie lift, the basket that moves around. Ultimately, we may find another type of machine to hang it from, and so a lot of the cost is going to be in the machine that's using it. But one of the benefits of a machine like a genie lift is you can just rent them so commonly, from all over the place. So some of it's going to depend on that, but I can't really say. That's not my side of the game. I'm really just trying to figure out how to make it work.
How many roofs you've installed
Just
with the
one.
drone? Just one.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Why?
took all the data from that and they've taken it back into development to really look at all the stuff that they did and measure it all and figure out what's going well and what they got to fix.
How
It
long?
definitely still needs improvement.
How long did it take you to install the roof?
I think that was a 3-day project and it was kind of slow because we were filming everything.
I
If we
see.
hadn't been filming it, it would have gotten done faster for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Are you personally excited about it?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I do think it's years away from being in the market in a way that you're going to see it in your average neighborhood. But seeing it applied, especially in specialty roofing systems, I think could happen pretty soon. One of the things I'm excited about is I personally think that roofs should be installed with screws and not with nails because it's just a much better fastening system. But the way we do it right now, the accuracy needed and the wear and tear on your arm to really just put in all those screws all day, we just don't want to do it. There's just resistance to it, but it would be a better system, especially if it had a little disc to hold the shingle down. It would just be a better application method. It's just expensive and time consuming. But I think when we get to the robot being able to do that, especially on specialty roofing, slate and tile and things like that, where they already know they need better fasteners, especially in composite specialty. So there's kind of like this flow chart of what kind of roof it is, but you get into specialty composite roofing or the higher end of asphalt shingles where they really want them to last a really long time. They're like a legitimate investment for the family. They're going to wish that their roof was applied with screws and plates similar to like what you put down TPO. It's just going to make the roof last a lot longer. It's going to be a lot stronger against wind damage, things like that. And right now, humans doing that's just kind of too laborious, and the accuracy needed is pretty high. But I think the robot could do that really well.
Do you feel, how do you feel about removing those shingles? Because I remember I talked to Dustin Bigler, and he used to use ring shank nails, right? And amount of hate I've seen on those videos is insane because the roofers hate is like, have you ever removed the roof with a ring shank? Right. Now imagine removing the shingle with the screws. What do you say to that?
I think that a lot of that depends on your perspective. Do you want to get the roof off as fast as possible? Then yeah, you're going to wish that you had smooth nails for sure. But if you got paid 3 or 4 times as much for removal and you got to take your time and take out the screws one by one, I think it's actually going to damage the decking less. It's going to be better for the decking that you leave behind because you're not ripping everything out. Certainly going to be better performance for the roof. But yeah, it's definitely going to take a lot longer to take it off. But if you're getting paid to take it off and you're getting paid an appropriate amount, wouldn't you rather be there longer and be working slower, a little bit more controlled, not as like a frenzy? Because when we tear off here in Texas, I mean, we'll have a 60 square house torn off in like 45 minutes and it's like total chaos. Stuff's falling everywhere, stuff's sliding everywhere. There's trash all over the place because they are trying to get in and out of that job in one day. But if we all know that this house has screws and it's going to take longer and you're getting paid appropriately to be there, I don't know why you need to be in a hurry. What's the difference? I think I'd rather be slower and controlled than doing it myself, especially if I was getting paid more.
The last question is a philosophical one. Let's talk about philosophy of our society towards manual labor and old school labor. When I look at like Tokyo, so I've traveled all over the world, China, Tokyo. You go to Mexico, you see people using brooms on the streets, but also you go to Tokyo, you go to Japan, and you'll see people not using blowers, which is Japan, very advanced country, but they use like brooms. And
Yeah.
United States, it's kind of in the middle. It's kind of like technology advanced country, but at the same time, we do like and appreciate old world
Mm.
craftsmen, right? Like
Right.
we just give genuine, like, can you repair your shoe with a
Mhm.
shoemaker? Yes, you can, and you kind of appreciate it. Like anything handmade, I feel like we're going through this crisis that we want people to be creative and to work with their hands, but we also have this revolution of AI and tech and machines in the roofing space. How do you feel? Because even in our space right now, like when I run my company, I've heard so many times people did not want to hire a big company; they want to hire a small company to support local business. Right? Happen.
Totally.
We eat off food trucks because we want to support the local business owner,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
versus like big
Totally.
chain. Like we're in roofing industry. Do you feel like what do you feel like market looks like? Do you think like top 10% wealthy people will hire robots? And I mean, where do you think it fits?
Yeah, I think it fits in the roofs where they're more expensive and they're meant to be longer lasting. Because you mentioned
So
craftsmanship.
premium segment.
Probably so, especially in the beginning. But you mentioned craftsmanship, and not to criticize anyone or any roofing product, but asphalt shingles. There hasn't been a roof that's been crafted with asphalt shingles in a long time. We're trying to rip those things off as fast as we can, get them on as fast as we can, do it as cheap as we can, and get to the next job. As an industry, companies individually have a different focus on quality, and I understand that. And you could do that process with more or less quality, but it's nothing like craftsmanship. It's nothing like a slate or a shake or a steam bent shake where the real is true artisanship and craftsmanship going into the roof with the good flashings, lead and copper and things like that. There's just very few homes having craftsmanship involved in roofing now, and really any part of the home for the most part. You might get a really nice granite countertop, but it's not exactly craftsman made, but it looks nice. But your tile and stuff in your main living areas is still nothing. The tile might be expensive, but the guy's not there for 4 weeks putting it on. He's in there for like 2 or 3 days and he's in and out. So I think that I prefer craftsmanship certainly, but if we're going to be in the part of the market with a product that's not using that and we're just trying to get it on and get to the next thing, I think the robot will have an advantage ultimately for longer lasting, higher performing roofs. That's my opinion. But I don't think it is a competition between craftsmanship and a robot, because the roofs that are going to be using the robot they're not getting any craftsmanship right now.
I agree with you. I'm gonna finish with my personal opinion. Nobody asked me, but I rarely do, but I'm gonna share. I think
Yeah.
that something like robots is for people who like technology in general. Like, do you remember Tesla roofs when Tesla came to market?
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people jump on it because they just like Elon Musk. They like this
Right.
new tech. Like if you're a
Mhm.
fan of Elon Musk, anything electric, anything new and cool, guess what? You're gonna be ahead of ahead of everyone else to get it first, just to say, hey, there's a robot on my roof, right? Like I'm actually that type of guy. Like I have a pool and I have two robots cleaning it. Like one goes under and one goes above, and I love it. I love those things. But I'm also a type of guy who wants to cut my own grass, and I would never buy lawnmower. Like I don't know. There's like weird things
Yeah.
about what we can tolerate and cannot tolerate. And I think with the roofing industry, I personally feel the market will speak for itself. Couple percent of the market will buy from robots.
Yeah. Well, I want to clarify one thing. The robot doesn't do the flashings, it doesn't do the penetrations. There will always be humans involved. But if I look at the job that it is working on, being the nailer on the roof, and I look at my son, he's 12, and I look into the future, would I rather him be on his hands and knees on a steep roof, risking his safety, risking damage to his body, although it's a reasonable job, especially when he's young. But would I rather him do that for a season and then just move off into something else once he gets a better career? Or would I rather him be a robotic operator? I would pick that for him, and I think most people probably would. Because there's nothing wrong with learning how to do it the hard way, totally. But when you go to like a plumbing job site right now, and they pull up with a skid steer or a trencher to dig the holes for the pipes, nobody now says, oh man, I could have hired for whatever, insert whatever nationality you want. They could have dug that hole just as fast as that machine. That's a $80,000 machine or $100,000 machine. Nobody says that now. because everybody looks at that and goes, I'm really glad we don't have to do that anymore. There's no plumbers out there going, man, I wish I could dig those holes again. They all think, man, I'm really glad there's trenchers out here, digging these lines, and there's a backhoe to dig this,
No,
septic tank.
it's a great analogy, especially for something like very big. Like if you have apartment complex and you have
Right.
like 500 squares, yeah, let it run. Let it run. Like
Mhm.
same thing with a giant trench. Like why would you ever want to dig it yourself?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I understand all the hate. I get it. I think it's funny. And who knows? Maybe it'll really work well. Maybe it'll morph into something else. Because that's the thing with breaking new ground is, we're shooting in this direction right now, and it may morph and change over here, and we may end up having a robot that works for commercial roofing instead of residential roofing because we found another use case for it that makes more sense. So yeah, is it totally clear exactly how it's going to work and what the numbers are going to be and how much the robot's going to cost and how much you're going to make off of it? No. But if we don't go through this right now, nobody will ever get to that place where they can understand that. And, it won't be real unless we push on it. So here we
Well,
are.
thank you for being trailblazer, showing us the way, and we're gonna wait and see. And guys, comment
Yeah.
below what you think about technology and if you would use it for your job.